Okay, here is part 2 of lesson 1.2. First off, we got to start with a typo. We are going to be given that angle INJ is 63. The way I like to do these is I like to just write directly onto the picture and then figure it out there. And so when I see this picture, the next one I see is angle J and K. And since they make a right angle, I know they're complementary. So 90 minus 63 makes that one 27. The next thing that I will probably go and do is I know that these two together make a linear pair, which means they add up to 180. And so INM is 180 minus 63, which is 117. Now, the other thing you might notice when you're looking is that, or might see, is that 63 goes over here also because this is a vertical angle. M and L is a vertical angle. And now our last missing piece you can figure out in a couple of ways. One thing that I see is that it forms a linear pair. It's a straight angle. And so 180 minus 27 minus 63 gives us 90. You could have also looked at any of the other linear pairs to find that value. So then I go back and I fill in the values based on my picture. But by working on the picture, it allows me to see them in the order that makes sense to me and not in the order they were listed in the homework assignment. These are also terms that may be reviewed to you. A scalene triangle has no equal sides. All three are different. An isosceles triangle has at least 2 equal sides. And you can see that with the hash marks. An equilateral or equal angular triangle has all 3 sides and angles equal. All the angles would be 60 because they're equal. A right triangle has 1 right angle. They can be scalene or isosceles. You cannot have an equilateral right triangle. Now, the Pythagorean theorem is a familiar theorem. A squared plus b squared is equal to c squared, where a and b are always the legs, the sides of a right triangle, and c is the hypotenuse. Another little trick is when we name triangles, we name them with capital letters, and the sides opposite are always the lowercase versions of those same letters. So here you can see A and B are the sides, square them, add them together, and my hypotenuse, which is always opposite my right angle and is always the longest side, is what they are equal to squared. So a quick review of the terms. Number 1 is a scalene, no equal sides. Number 2 is a right isosceles. I'm sorry, number 2 down here is an equilateral. And number 4 is a scalene. And that is all based on the markings, the given information. I have one additional piece of information that you will need for your homework, and that is about parallel lines. So if my blue lines are parallel, a line that cuts across them is called a transversal. And there are 8 angles formed when parallel lines are intersected by a transversal. One of the terms is alternate exterior angles. These are angles that are on opposite sides of the transversal and outside the parallel lines. So for example, they are angle 1 and angle 7. They are angle 2 and angle 8. The next term is alternate interior angles, and they are on opposite sides of the transversals, but inside the parallel lines. And so here we're talking about angles 4 and angle 6, angle 3 and angle 5. And the last term we're going to talk about are corresponding. And corresponding angles sit in similar positions in relation to the transversal and the parallel lines. So for example, 3 and 7 are both below the parallel line and to the right of the transversal. So angle 3 and angle 7 are corresponding. Angle 2 and angle 6 are corresponding because they are both to the right of the transversal and above the parallel lines. Angle 1 and angle 5, angle 4 and angle 8. And what we are going to learn later is these guys are all equal. So now you can go ahead and complete homework 1.2